Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has expressed confidence that its technology deployment towards the election will be foolproof as it moves to build confidence among stakeholders. IEBC officials sought to quell suspicion over firms contracted to provide the technology and print ballot papers for the general election. Let's get more from our very own Sam Gituku.
For a largely manual election, IEBC has been keen on building confidence in the technology deployment, which will be crucial for the identification of voters and transmission of results, especially for the presidential election. Presidential candidates and their agents sought assurance on the credibility and security of KIEMS kits that will be used to identify voters and later transmit presidential election results to Nairobi. IEBC CEO Marjan Hussein explained how each KIEMS kit will be locked to a polling station, meaning it can only be used to identify voters within the polling station.
The system basically automatically archives any person who has voted. And archiving does not mean deleting. Archiving means that you are marked that you have already voted. And therefore, this information, if we are even to avail it in the future, we can even tell you who has voted. The only thing we cannot be able to tell you who has voted for who.
In this election, there will be 46,232 polling stations across the country, each with a maximum of 700 voters as per the law. Each polling station will be served by a KIEMS kit. IEBC is saying it has thousands of spare kits, sufficient to allocate 6 standby kits per ward. The voters' register of 22.1 million will be loaded to the KIEMS kits ahead of the election using an SD card. Presiding officers who lead electoral operations at the polling stations will then be provided with a unique QR code to access the kits, effectively limiting the accessible register to the polling stations. Smartmatic International Holding, a Dutch company, was awarded the election technology tender.
I have no problem in stakeholders going to observe what is actually being done. Like I said, we have got a factory specifically for producing the KIEMS kit. Even as we speak, there are people who are working there. We have not reached that stage of populating information into the duplicating the SD card.
Presidential candidates were keen on the identity and reliability of Inform Lycos, the Greek company awarded the tender to print ballot papers and other statutory documents needed for the election. IEBC officials reported progress made by the firm in preparing for the printing of ballot papers, downplaying suspicion that the company had been involved in a Nigerian election that had challenges with ballot papers. Commissioner Abdi Golia says the firm was never involved in the West African country.
They are involved in businesses far more than the little contract we have given them. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, they are listed in the Athens Stock Exchange, and I don't think they will be doing any monkey business to jeopardize their vast business interests they have in several continents.
On the night of election, polling officials will convert the polling stations into counting stations, count the votes for all candidates, beginning with the presidential election. The presiding officer will then take an image of the presidential election results declaration form and send it to the National Tallying Center using the KIEMS kit. Upon receipt, the presidential election returning officer, in this case IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati, will download all the more than 46,000 forms, capture the data on them, and wait for constituency returning officers to deliver the original forms from the polling stations for comparison. It is only after processing all the results through the electronic and manual system that Chebukati shall declare the outcome of the presidential election. Sam Gituku, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
All right, Gituks, thanks so much for that.